Hey y'all, I am back with a video finally. This time I'm here doing the long-awaited mud water update video. I've been using mud water for about 2 months now or so I wanted to do another update just to let you guys know how I felt about it, the effects I felt, and whether or not I would recommend it for you to try. If you're not already subscribed with me and you don't know what mud water basically is a alternative coffee replacement. It's basically just tea with like some specific mushrooms put in there to help with focus, attention, immunity, and like some other things I'll put on the screen here. I did a whole video about the basics of mud water, my unboxing of it, and I'll put that up at the top and probably in the description bar below. So if you want to learn more about the basics of mud water, go check out that video first and then come here after. If you already know a good amount about mud water, then you're in the right place. I'm just gonna go over basically my experience with it and whether or not I'd recommend you to have it. So first of all, I drink mud water probably like once every other day, maybe twice a day if I'm really feeling it. I think like this amount of a bottle, like the regular 30 serving package, probably lasts me like about a month and a bit, like maybe a month and a few weeks. I'm actually almost done this can and this is my second can that I bought. As far as caffeine, I haven't experienced any jitters while using it. Usually coffee makes me feel very like shaky and twitchy. This doesn't make me feel twitchy at all. It took me a while to feel any sort of effects from the caffeine, to be honest. Usually coffee, I can feel it right away. Like after I have coffee, I can feel myself being more awake. But with this, the first few times I had it, I didn't feel anything at all, which was kind of disappointing. But after maybe a week or so of using it, I definitely could see the effects and I could see why people would choose this over coffee. When I did finally start to feel the effects of the mud water, I definitely felt more awake throughout the day, but it wasn't like a forced awake like I feel with coffee. I feel like if I drink coffee, I can still tell that underneath the coffee I'm tired, if that makes any sense to anybody. But with this, it felt like I was actually naturally just more awake, which was a really cool feeling. Also, after having this like midday or even around like 4 or 5 p.m., I was still able to go to sleep at night around 10 without any problems. So I think that was a cool plus to know that I wasn't like barred from sleeping because I decided to have a caffeinated drink like halfway through the day. So that was cool. As far as focus, I can say my focus was slightly improved. It wasn't like I was like super zoned in on something, but I definitely feel like, I guess my focus was improved. I don't know, it's hard to measure something like focus without having like a controlled variable. So I would say yes, but it's like, I wouldn't buy it for the focus improvement, but I think it did help. One thing I did notice when I was having mud water for the 2 months that I have drank it was that I did notice when I didn't have it. So the mornings that I didn't have mud water, I did feel a little bit less perky, a little bit sluggish, and less generally interested in what I was doing. That being said, I've had other morning drinks I'll talk about a little bit later that have affected me more so. Like I take this morning green tea and super greens powder drink, and when I don't have that, I'm like a whole different person. Like I am grouchy, I'm annoying, I'm mean, I'm angry. Like when I don't have that stuff, I'm a different person. But this mud water doesn't do that to me, but I can tell when I don't have it. As far as suppressing appetite, I don't really think it does much to do that. I can say that since I am keto, I sometimes have it while I'm like before my fast is over, and doing that can actually help me continue my fast for a little bit longer because I've had something warm in my stomach. So if you're keto and you're wondering if this is something that you might want to try, I would say go for it. I think it only has something like 4 carbs overall and there's no sugar, so that's cool. If you are pretty strict with your keto, you might not want to use this while you're fasting because it still is carbs, and carbs will still raise your blood sugar levels, so I'm sure that that probably isn't what you want when you're fasting. But if you're just kind of like chill, low carb keto like I am, I would say go for it. It's a pretty cool alternative to morning coffee, and it'll keep you going if you want to fast for longer. So now getting on to the taste. So the taste of mud water is kind of acquired. I guess you can say it earns the name. It's very thick if you don't do it correctly, and it can be very grainy and sort of gross. So I definitely recommend taking some time with it. If you buy a packet of mud water, give yourself like at least a good week or 2 to kind of get into it. It's not going to taste like a normal tea, and it's not going to taste like coffee either. It's its own product. The first time I had it on camera, it was good. But the first time I had it off camera, it was not good. I did it completely wrong. On camera, I had boiled the water, I used their creamer, and I used a little bit of erythritol, which is a sugar-free sweetener, into it to make it sweeter, and it was good. The second time I did it, I mixed it with my morning protein shake and my morning green shake, and that was it was is the worst. I had to force myself to drink it down. I would say try to stick to taking mud water as is. Don't really mix it with too many things. That being said, they do have a bunch of recipes on their website, which I've actually recorded myself doing in a few different other videos, which are coming up. So when I'm finished with those, I'll link them here. But yeah, if you want to drink your mud water and have it taste good, I'd recommend following their recipes or just keeping it simple. Like, don't go too crazy mixing it with different powders and stuff. I think it's meant to be enjoyed as a drink on its own. To help it from not being too thick and too grainy, please make sure your water is hot. I'd say add some creamer, and if you don't do creamer, add some MCT oil, which is basically coconut fat, and always make sure you're mixing. Like, don't just mix at the beginning, like mix as you go, because if you stop mixing and then your drink gets cold, that's when the mud water goes back into like the mud form and then it gets all thick and grainy at the end. So yeah, I would just say keep mixing, and after you do that, it tastes great, it's fine. It's like a tea hot chocolate. Like, it's a really nice experience once you do it right. I personally recommend just hot water, any sort of creamer that you could use, and then I use about half a teaspoon of any type of sweetener. I've also used maple syrup, not keto, but it tastes really good. But I've used maple syrup before, and that's a good sweetener as well. So for the Q&As, I have a few here. If you guys have any other questions that aren't on here for mud water, please go ahead and check out my Instagram and I'll answer more questions there. First question, have I noticed any benefits or changes? I have noticed that I do feel calmer after drinking it. I feel like if I wake up or if I'm anxious about something happening in my day, after drinking the mud water, I definitely feel a little bit better about going into the day. I don't know if that's because it's still tea and tea is calming, or if it's just because it's warm and warm is nice. But I do feel calmer after drinking it. I also do feel more awake after drinking it. Again, I only felt that really about a week after starting it, probably because it's not super strong like coffee is, so I wasn't able to immediately feel it. But if you're looking for it, I think you can definitely feel the positive effects of it. Does it make me feel anxious or jittery? I haven't felt anxious or jittery with mud water at all. I definitely feel jittery with coffee, so I'll get you there. The person who asked this also gets jittery with green tea, so I would suggest to buy a small tin or buy the 15 sachet pack that they have there just to try it out and see if it's for you. But as far as my personal experience, I haven't had any jitters with mud water whatsoever. The energy boost that it gives you doesn't feel like it's a caffeine boost. If you've had yerba mate, the tea, it kind of feels like yerba except less extreme. I feel like yerba kind of like pushes you out there with like the caffeine and like making you feel energized without the jitters, but it's very kind of aggressive. I feel like this is less aggressive than yerba, but it's also less jittery than coffee. So I think it's a really cool middle ground between those drinks. At the same time, I did also feel a little bit more alert. Again, like, it's hard to explain and back these things when you're not doing the exact same things every single day. But I think over time, I did feel a little bit more just aware and like less sluggish. So it was cool. Does it work with your other shakes? No. That's not like mud water's fault or anyone's fault. It just doesn't work with what I drink. For reference, let me show you. So every morning I have Hum Nutrition's Raw Beauty Green Superfood Powder. I have Thrive Market's grass-fed collagen peptides, usually in the chocolate flavor, but this is the unflavored version. And then I also have the organic MCT unflavored powder from Well Made by Thrive Market. Mixing the mud water, I thought because it was chai and this is chocolate, so you mix the chai with the chocolate, you get this like nice like mocha. No, it doesn't taste good at all. So if you drink any of these things in the morning, I'd recommend not mixing them with your mud. If you do have MCT powder, that works fine as a alternative to creamer in your mud water, so I'd recommend the MCT powder. But as far as like chocolate flavored anything, it hasn't worked out for me. It tasted kind of gross. So I just have mud by itself and then have my other morning drinks after. If you're keto, would this break your fast? It could, depending how strict you are. Like, for example, my keto is like maybe 40 grams of carbs a day, 40, 50, which is a way more than most people do if they're going keto. Some people do like 20, 30 grams a day. So if it really, really matters to you that you're not having any carbs before the end of your fast, I would say don't bother with this because this is still 4 carbs. So I wouldn't want you to go out thinking that this is fine and then actually it's raising your blood sugar even by a little bit. So I'd say don't go for it. But if you're like me and you're doing keto kind of to keep you in shape and to get you eating right and thinking about your carb intake, it's fine. I've had it before my fast ended, didn't feel weird, didn't feel my heart racing or anything, didn't feel full. So it definitely won't fill you up like having like a Starbucks coffee or something during your fast time or something like that. Again, this has absolutely 0 sugar, which is great, so that way you can choose how sweet you want it to be and what else goes into it. So that's my quick mud water video. I will have other videos going out and detailing the different recipes that you can make and probably another update along the way to let you guys know how I'm doing. Hit me up in the comments if you have any other questions and I'll see y'all real soon. Thanks for watching.